Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Untitled Reviews. Now, if you've had a look on the channel at some of the mice that we've reviewed, or some of the most popular mice that we've reviewed, you'll notice that they're kind of the more mid-range, slightly more affordable, either wired or wireless mice that seem to be packed with purposeful looks, a great sensor and rather good software. And there's certainly a lot of competition about, such as Rocat's Kane 200 AIMO that we rated very highly a couple of years ago. And this ASUS TUF Gaming M4 Wireless seems to be the latest one to roll off the production line. Now, those mice regularly come in at a price of about 60 to 70 quid or so, that's what you can expect, but this M4 Wireless with its pricing of $53.99 does undercut them by a little bit over 10%, and so to be honest, right off the bat does seem like pretty good value for money. But in the real world, how does it stand up? The contents of the box of the M4 Wireless is also nicely simple. You get, quite simply, the mouse itself, an included AA battery, and a 2.4 GHz wireless receiver. So, in terms of design, what can you necessarily expect with the ASUS TUF Gaming M4 Wireless? Well, first and foremost, you'll notice that it offers up this rather smooth and sleek-looking and rather contoured shape that really can make it super comfortable to hold, especially if you're a palm grip user like I am. It's comprised entirely of some rather decent-feeling, rather robust, textured PBT plastic, the same as some really high-class keycaps on more expensive gaming keyboards that can provide some extra grip, especially in the absence of any rubberized support on either side. So that entire plastic and kind of matted finish, if you will, does mean it looks pretty sleek and suave, and you won't actually find any RGB lighting here, but I'll come on to that in a little bit later on. By way of its weight, you'll find that without any form of battery included, the M4 Wireless clocks in around 62 grams or so, which does make it one of the lighter mice out there, certainly one of the lighter ones in this more mid-range category. And even with a bundled battery inside like that AA Duracell there that ASUS are so kind enough to bundle, you'll find that the weight can only go up to 86 grams with the AA and 77 with a AAA, because you can use the M4 Wireless with either, although you can't use both at the same time, of course. That weight is a little bit lower than some of the competition, which can make it feel rather smooth in gaming, but you'll hear more about that in the performance section. All the buttons, a classic 6-button setup, they're all nicely firm and tactile, and nothing feels particularly cheap. Even these two side buttons, or the DPI switch, nothing feels cheap. They all feel robust, which is kind of goes against the grain of other kind of more affordable mice whose buttons can feel a little bit like using a wet sponge at times. And on the reverse, you'll find that the M4 Wireless features some rather nice 100% PTFE kind of glide pads, as it were. So you've got one big one at the bottom and two small ones on the top that just allow it to glide effortlessly across your desk without any kind of snags or anything. Alongside that, on the bottom comes the sensor itself. And indeed that dual connectivity switch that allows you to connect via Bluetooth and the 2.4 GHz wireless receiver. Now, one thing to say, this isn't something that you can, I suppose, necessarily test with a gaming mouse, but it's just a nice peace of mind feature, is that the M4 Wireless is coated with ASUS's antibacterial guard, which, kind of on a basic level, allows it to keep itself clean to inhibit any microbial or bacterial growth. It's such a kind of a really nice, kind of handy feature to see being added to gaming peripherals, even if it isn't something that you can see, I suppose. Well, the whole point is that you don't want to see it, I suppose. But no, all in all, by way of design, the M4 Wireless is pretty decent. It feels good, the buttons are tactile, and everything feels rather nicely put together, I suppose. So, in terms of its performance then, how does the M4 Wireless stack up? Well, as for its sensor, as this is more of a mid-range offering, we're expecting something between the 12 to 16,000 DPI range, and I'm pleased to say the M4 Wireless does deliver with a 12,000 DPI sensor, which means that in FPS games like CSGO, where you'll find this mouse plying its trade, it feels nicely responsive and actually offers a nice halfway house between kind of lower sensitivities preferred by casual gamers and the slightly more high sensitivities by pros. Anything really above 12,000 I suppose any normal folk like me isn't really that noticeable, because you're still getting plenty of sensitivity for your money. The fact this is also a slightly lighter mouse by comparison to the competition means that making those more sweeping movements are easier, and this can feel rather nimble if you need to go around corners or crouch and kind of move about, I suppose. It's a mouse that you can use for long sessions without feeling too fatigued, and also means that it's a rather decent office mouse as well. On the subject of kind of nice quality of life features that both office and gaming users will kind of find useful, you'll find that this mouse features dual connectivity, as it can be used via Bluetooth or the bundled 2.4 GHz USB-A receiver, that's stowed underneath where the ASUS logo is. Just kind of pull the flap down and you'll find where you can put the battery and the receiver itself. Both connections offer a zero latency experience. We've got to that point where 2.4 gigahertz wireless and Bluetooth offer practically zero latency, and you get a stable connection as you would via a wire. So really there's not much else to say other than it's rather good indeed on this particular mouse. Also, the pairing process for Bluetooth is practically plug and play. It's a case of just turning the switch to Bluetooth, going into your device settings menu and selecting it, and clicking yes, and it's really that simple. And with the 2.4 gigahertz wireless receiver, it's practically plug and play. So you plug the receiver in, and away you go. It's that easy. And whilst it is convenient from that regard, the M4 Wireless does fall behind the competition a little bit on the front of battery life. With the bundled AA battery that you get included, the quoted battery life is 134 hours on USB-A and 232 hours on Bluetooth. Now this is, I still have to clarify, decent enough. It means you can go for weeks without swapping out the battery if you're assuming kind of 8 hours a day full usage, or of course even longer if you're using it for less each day. But it can fall a little bit behind some of the competition. For instance, Razer's Death Adder V2X Hyperspeed can practically double that figure. So battery life really is just something you want to bear in mind, especially considering you don't get a rechargeable cell bundled with the M4 Wireless. As for any software and lighting, there's not really too much to say about the M4 Wireless, apart from the fact that you do get some handy software. It comes in the form of ASUS's Armoury Crate software that we've previously shown on the channel, and that allows you really just to remap the kind of 6 mouse buttons to a vast range of functions alongside changing those individual DPI levels. It's a really simple set of software to use, and probably one of the better ones available on the market. There's no kind of bloatware, as it were, unlike with, say, Razer's Synapse 3, where you just get a whole load of functions you don't need. This keeps it to what you actually will use. That's the one side of the story where the M4 Wireless delivers, as there's no RGB lighting present on this. Some people may feel a little bit dismayed by that, but to be honest, it's just another thing not necessarily to worry about that could be a potential battery drain, for instance. So, in conclusion then, should you buy ASUS's, or the TUF gaming arm of ASUS's M4 Wireless? Well, if you're somebody who's just looking for a handy mid-range mouse that's got some purposeful design to it, then you're going to be in luck here. It certainly feels pretty sturdy, so if you want a sturdy mouse, then you're in luck here as well. Those wanting a decent mid-range sensor, who think 12,000 DPI is plenty, will also find something to like here, as you're going to get some rather good sensitivity at a pretty decent price as well. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't really care for RGB lighting, then you're going to be in luck, because the TUF Gaming M4 Wireless doesn't feature any at all. But in short, the M4 Wireless is a decent all-rounder, really, with a 12,000 DPI sensor, some rather sturdy design, and really some rather intuitive software. Then you're going to be in luck for really whatever you need this to do, unless you are, of course, a pro gamer who needs over 20,000 DPI, for instance. But really, it earns a bit of a thumbs up from us over here, and is definitely worth a pickup. Now, all that really remains to be said is that if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe to the channel, and to ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future upload. There's going to be a fair amount of ASUS products going on. We've got a couple more lined up after this, and some other intriguing bits that you won't want to miss. To follow us on Twitter and of course Instagram. Links will be appearing on the screen right about now. And, of course, down in the description there is also an Untitled merchandise store that's hosted on Spring, where you can rep the brand, as it were, with all sorts of t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. There's actually a brand new black mug that's just gone in there that looks rather nice, and a couple of new t-shirts, pint glasses, wall art, you name it, we've got it. It's all down in the description, and Spring ship worldwide, which is absolutely fantastic, and all the stuff is of rather good quality indeed. And, of course, if you liked any of the kit that we feature in these videos, be it this M4 Wireless or any of the other keyboards, mice, laptops, headsets, multimedia controllers, microphones, and all sorts besides that we featured on this channel over the last 2 and a bit years, then there'll be Amazon links down in the description where you can pick all that up. So, once again, thank you very much for watching.